Hey guys, hoping all is well with everyone. So in this video we're going to be continuing our read along of the Secret Zoo Raids and Rescues, and today we're going to be starting off with chapter 7. And as always, I hope you guys enjoy, and let's jump right into it here. Chapter 7, Noah's Noisy Closet. Noah sat at his bedroom window, looking out at the night. Silhouettes of houses and treetops rose against a star-spotted sky. He couldn't stop thinking about the video from Zach's camera. The Sasquatches, the throngs of insects, the dark corridors of the secret creepy critters. He worried about Tank and the other descenders in that wretched pit in the creepy core. He wondered about training with the specters tomorrow, what it would be like to walk around as one of them, a ghost. Around midnight, he left the window and climbed into bed. He tossed and turned and eventually began to settle. Just as he drifted towards sleep, a sudden noise jarred him awake, a heavy groan. He lifted his head and checked his bedroom door. It was still closed tight. In the moonlight, he could see the poster on the back of it. Indiana Jones seemed to look out at him, a coiled whip at his side and a wry grin on his face. Noah squinted at the line of light along the bottom of his door, expecting to see the silhouettes of a foot. Was his mother awake? His father? Was Megan also having trouble sleeping? When nothing appeared, he laid his head back down and forced his eyes closed. The old frame of the house settled and shifted at night. It had for years, and this was surely what Noah had heard. A minute passed, and then Noah heard the groan again, louder this time. But his door was still closed, and nothing showed in the light beneath it. Indy's grin now seemed scornful, as if the adventurer couldn't believe what a wimp Noah was being. As soon as Noah's head returned to the pillow, the sound came again. This time, he sat up, his senses at full attention. Nothing at the door, nothing at the window. He was alone. He waited. His fingers curled around the edge of the mattress. His eyes shifted to random points in his room. The desk, the bookshelf, the dresser, the closet. The closet? Could the noise be coming from there? Go to it, Noah heard the braver part of himself say in his head. Just look inside. There's nothing there. He started to rise from the bed, and fear stopped him short. What if someone was in his closet? Noah recalled the portal beneath Clarksville Zoo Elementary. If Degraff could build a portal to the old cellar in Noah's school, what was preventing him from building one to somewhere else? This room, even. His heart was no longer tapping against his chest. It was thumping. His palms, suddenly clammy, stuck to his bedsheets. The sound again, louder than ever. There was no doubt. The noise was coming from the closet. Noah stood, his knees popping. He took one step, then another. Then he reached the doorway. He peered inside. There was nothing but the usual. Clothes dangling from hangers, sweaters half folded on shelves, a jumble of shoes. As he stepped inside, a wave of cold air rolled over him. He shivered, then reached up and tugged the chain for the light. He listened for the sound. The night seemed quieter than ever. He began to hear the silence, a muffled drone in his ears. He squatted beside the heat vent and held his palm an inch away from it. Was the cold air coming from here? Noah wasn't sure, but it seemed to be. Maybe the sounds had come from here, too. Maybe the furnace having problems. Noah stood and abruptly walked out of the closet, angry at himself for allowing his imagination to run away. As if he didn't have enough real problems to deal with. He crawled back into bed and rolled onto his side. He lay there for the next half hour, his eyes shut and all his attention in his ears. The groan didn't come again. It was as if whatever he had made this sound knew Noah was listening for it and had decided to stay quiet. Something suddenly came to Noah's mind, and he lay there trying to forget it. But the thought kept coming back and back and back. A groan sounded a little like a growl. Chapter 8, Going Ghost. Check these out. Evie said. "They're for the mission." She reached into one of her non-magical pockets, pulled out a small handful of tiny electrical pieces, and held them out for everyone to see. The scouts and all 6 of the specters were standing in the Clarksville Zoo in butterfly nets, which was marked outside as closed for construction. Noah dipped his head and gazed into her hand. They look like bugs, but I can hardly see them." "That's the idea." The specter threw the pieces into the air, and as they hit the ground, they bounced a few times and then started to crawl, emitting a soft, steady light. "Gift from Zach," she said. "Flashmites, to lead us through the dark passages." "Awesome!" Richie said. "Their power dies within a few minutes, and you don't have to worry about picking them up because they'll look like dead bugs." Richie chased after one of the flashmites, its wide spray of light making the decals in his running shoes sparkle. He bent over, pinched the electronic bug between his fingers, and stood straight to study it. "Did Zach make it?" "He makes everything," Evie answered. "Except his way to the shower," Ella said, and she pinched her nose. When Richie shot her a scornful look, she said, "Sorry, didn't mean to make fun of your bro. The crossers watched the flashlights crawl around until their powerful power drained away. Then Evie swept them up and shoved them into her pocket. "Okay," Evie said. "Let's get started." She looked at the other specters. "Girls, we ready?" Noah glanced at the other specters and saw them nod. Sarah had a wild, punkish look with her blonde hair and a slender mohawk that came to a 4-inch point. Dark makeup circled her eyes and streaked toward her temples. Lily had big eyes with long, curved lashes and collar-length hair, which curved to a point just below her chin. Kalina had deep brown skin and long braided hair. Jordan had a bushy afro that tapered her near her neck. Alakshi had perfect olive skin and dark eyes. Evie reached into a backpack and took a wad of clothes out. Pants. She threw a pair to each of the scouts. Richie struck his face and then dangled around his neck like a scarf. "String waists," Evie pointed out. "They should fit fine." Noah held his by the waist and then whipped the legs forward like a wrinkled bedsheet. The camouflage pants had a bunch of pockets, including 2 large ones that zipped shut. Velvet patches were stitched to different places. "I've always considered velvet and camouflage to be perfect complements," Ella said as she stared down at what she had been given. "It's what all the girls are wearing this year." "Should we put them on?" Richie asked. Evie said, "Unless you want to walk around all day with chameleons stuffed in your underwear." Noah and Richie found a private spot to change and rejoin the group. Ella spun in a circle and asked the boys, "You like?" Her camouflage pants were pink, her favorite color. "How did you manage that?" Richie asked. Ella shrugged. "Jealous? Maybe you want to switch." "We've always had a pink pair," Evie said. "Call it lucky." Ella turned a second time and stared down onto the back of her legs. "I call it fate." "Okay, this is how they work," Evie said, and she opened her left zipper. A line of chameleons crawled out and spread across her body. Parts of Evie began to blend into her surroundings, and after a few seconds, she completely vanished. "Takes about 20 chameleons to camo up," she added, and when Noah heard the rip of a zipper, he realized she'd closed her pocket. "To send the chameleons back, open your right pocket." A zipper sounded again, and then Evie began to appear like a figure rising out of the fog. By the time she was fully visible, all of her chameleons were gone. "That's it?" Richie said. Evie nodded and shrugged one shoulder. "Seriously? That's the extent of our instruction?" "Look, kid, we got 4 crossers down and 2 gifted locked up in what basically amounts to a prison. Our operation goes live in 2 days. You think we got time to read a few books about this?" Richie opened his mouth to say something, and then closed it. "Good," Evie said. "Now, who wants to go first?" The scouts looked at one another, silent. No one? Evie said. Okay, then how about you all go at the same time? She jingled the flat metal slider on the zipper of her left pocket. Pinch and pull. The chameleons will do the rest. Again, they're trained for this. You're mostly along for the ride. The scouts traded uneasy glances. Then Noah asked his friends. On 3? Ella and Megan nodded. Richie did too, at least a little. Noah grabbed the slider and counted. 1, 2, 3. As Noah's zipper opened, he felt the patter of little feet up his leg, and he looked down to see a line of chameleons streaming out from the velvet confines of his pocket. The chameleons' colors began to swirl and blur and change, and Noah began to disappear. Parts of his arms, his legs, his torso. He was being blended into the world around him. Richie whimpered, and Noah turned to see parts of his friend disappearing. Ella's legs, Megan's arms, Richie's running shoes. They looked like colorful drawings being erased from a page. Noah watched the last of himself disappear as 2 chameleons circled his ankles. He felt perfectly fine and perfectly invisible. I can't see my hands, Richie squealed. Or my arms. Or my anything. Too wicked, Ella said. Noah turned again to his friends and saw only trees and paths and butterflies. Ow! Richie said. Noah looked toward the sound of his voice and saw a shimmer of movement as Richie's chameleons adjusted to new spots. Who just punched me? Ella's sinister laugh served as an answer. Seriously? What's wrong with you? Ella laughed again. I could really get used to this. Can you feel the chameleons? Evie asked. Noah realized he could. On his shoulders, his back, his legs, he felt the prick and push of little feet. There's one on my butt, Richie squealed. When his friends started to laugh, he added, I'm serious. I don't understand this, Megan said. The chameleons, how are they doing this? Evie said, chameleons have special cells with pigments that allow them to create color. Our magic modifies this pigment to create colors and tones in a big-time way. Then, as the chameleons blend into their surroundings, so do the things beneath them, at least if the chameleons want them to, because they control everything with their thoughts. This idea to Noah seemed perfectly normal and totally absurd, just like everything about the secret zoo. Okay, Evie said, let's Pocket call the chameleons. Right pocket sends them back. If you want a bunch of chameleons, just keep your left pocket open. They'll come and come, more than you can imagine. Evie tucked her bangs behind her ear and said, try moving around. Get the feel for it. Noah took a few steps, looked around, and nearly lost his balance. Without sight of his body, his arms, his shoulders, the bridge of his nose, he felt a bit uncoordinated, and he felt a bit unreal. It was as if he were drifting through space like a ghost, like a specter. Wave your arms, Evie said, and even demonstrated, her arms turning slow circles in front of her. They feel funny, Megan said. That's because you can't see them, and your brain's freaking out. It's sending signals to every part of your body trying to figure out what's going on. Evie had them walk forward, backward, sideways. She had them shuffle and jump and crouch. She made them kick their legs and punch the air. The scouts kept discussing how weird it was not to see parts of themselves. Noah wondered if being a specter had less to do with the way you looked and more to do with the way you felt. Evie said, when a zipper's open, anything can portal through the pocket. Sounds, smells. Hear that, Richie? Ella said. No farts. All the specters smiled. Sarah even laughed a bit. After about 15 minutes, Evie had them remove their camouflage. For this, the scouts simply unzipped their right pockets and allowed the chameleons to retreat. The 4 friends slowly reappeared. Too wild, Richie said as he patted his pockets to ensure the chameleons weren't in them. Noah saw his friend for the first time in a while. His hat pulled down low on his forehead, his pants pulled up over his narrow waist and knobby ankles. Okay, Evie said. Camouflage yourselves again and come with me. Where are we going? Noah asked. She pointed to an outside wall of butterfly nets. That way. We just came in from that way, Ella remarked. You're going out into the Clarksville Zoo, fully ghosted. Whoa, Richie said. Do you think we need more time to... Kid, there is no time. We've only got a couple days to get this right. The scouts traded glances. Evie was right. If they were going to rescue Tank and the other descenders, they had to act fast and be bold. And I'll stop the video there, ending chapter 8. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and in the continuation of the Secret Zoo Raids and Rescues next time, we'll be starting with chapter 9. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please take good care of yourselves and be safe. Bye.